Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. I'm Sally Baudet. Live from Johannesburg, your top stories this evening. Explosions and gunfire in the Kenyan capital this afternoon, with at least one person reported dead in an attack claimed by militant Somalian group al-Shabaab. Concerns over Zimbabwe escalate, with reports of a number of deaths and multiple arrests, an indication that the government is now blocking internet access.
Mense wat my ken, sê ek is 'n goeie juffrou.
The teacher who took a photo of black and white children seated separately says her school is not racist, and she took the photo quite innocently. Let's start here in Zimbabwe today. Opposition party, the MDC Alliance, wants the Southern African Development Community to intervene in the ongoing unrest in that country. Soldiers have been deployed to some areas of the capital where police were clashing with protesters over fuel hikes. Communication is also limited in some parts, and social media and the internet have been blocked. Official reports say at least 6 people have died, while an opposition politician suggests the number could be higher. Here's Nicholas Bauer with the latest.
With information trickling out of Zimbabwe, the extent of the crisis isn't clear, amid claims the government has shut down the internet. But it's been confirmed at least 6 people are dead and scores more are injured, as the military allegedly fired live bullets at civilians.
The day has been a day like no other. We have been shut out of the world and sent back to the first century, simply because the military wants to be able to visit individuals in homes, maim them. They are doing all sorts of things behind closed doors with nobody able to report on the situation.
Zimbabweans took to the streets on Monday and Tuesday after the state instituted a catastrophic 150% fuel price hike over the weekend. The move, intended to ease fuel shortages, is being harshly criticized.
We have gotten to this crisis purely as a result of economic mismanagement by ZANU-PF. So the first thing you need to do is just to get to basic, spend what you have. This government lives beyond its means.
The violence comes as Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa is still abroad on a 4-nation tour to drum up investment for the country's shattered economy.
Let's move now to Kenya and the deadly attack in the capital, Nairobi, this afternoon. Al-Shabaab extremists laid siege to an upmarket hotel and office park near Nairobi's Riverside Drive. Let's get the very latest now from Kenyan journalist in Nairobi, Susan Mwonge. Susan, thank you so much for joining us. Could you give us the very latest on this attack? Is it under control?
Well, what we know right now is that the operation to rescue people who are still trapped in the building is still ongoing. Now, moments ago, the police inspector general gave a statement updating on the situation, and he basically said that progress had been made in containing the situation. He said premises around the complex have been secured, and also said that currently about 6 out of 7 floors of that building have been secured, but that is not clear, because what we don't understand, the complex is quite big. It would be hard for them to have done that in such a short time. But that is not clear. What we have, or rather, the other thing that he confirmed was that the attack, of course, happened at 3 o'clock, and he said that assailants attacked a certain bank that was nearby with an explosion targeting 3 vehicles. Then there was another suicide explosion that took place at the entrance of the Dew Street Hotel before some assailants rushed into the building. Now, as I said, people are still trapped. People have been talking of having their siblings, their relatives, communicating via messages. But the challenge here has really been how to relay the information that the people who are in there to authorities. Now, in terms of casualties, there's not been any official figure. We know that people have spoken of people who died, but we don't know any official figures. But we know that about 15 people are nursing serious injuries in various hospitals. And already there's a blood donation appeal. And as it is right now, emergency services are on the scene, and the rescue operation is still ongoing. But then again, darkness has started to set in, and this, of course, is leading to a lot of anxiety. But it isn't confirmed. What we know is that about 40 to 100 people are still holed up in that building.
Just to be clear, Susan, are you saying that the militants could still be inside that building right now or not?
Yes, it has been confirmed by the Inspector General, saying that the operation is still ongoing. They're still trying to secure the area, and they do say that assailants are still in the building.
I see, I understand. And could you speak to us about what possible motive al-Shabaab might have for doing this? We know they've claimed responsibility, but I understand this also coincides with a deadly attack in Somalia 3 years ago.
Yes, we do not really know the motive of this attack, but we do know, as you said there, that Kenya has been targeted numerous times by al-Shabaab. We just remember that almost 5 years ago we had an almost similar incident, the Westgate incident, and also there was another one at the Garissa attack, and then there's been many more on the northeastern region. And then again, there are also questions being raised how this coincided with that attack on Elade, where about 173 soldiers were killed in 2016. Now, al-Shabaab has always accused Kenya of meddling into the affairs of Somalia, and over the during other incidents, after those incidents, it's always said that it is attacking Kenya because of its involvement in Somalia. And you do know that Kenya has sent its forces, the KDF forces, alongside Al-Emison on a peacekeeping mission in the country. But we do not know who the target was. But given where this area is, it's very high-end. The hotel itself do say it's very high-end, and it's frequented by people from the international community. Expert missions are always there. So it could be targeted to the international community. But also another thing is that it comes at a time when the U.S. has been claiming a lot of success. And remember, Kenya U.S. is a big partner in the war against terrorism in the region. And the U.S. has been claiming a lot of successful militant strikes, airstrikes rather, in Somalia. So that it should happen now. It could also be a possibility that they are retaliating. But all this is not clear and can only be clear once investigations have been launched.
Thank you so very much. That's Suzanne Mwonge, a Kenyan journalist, reporting to us live. She tells us that that building is still, in fact, under siege. An estimated 40 to 100 people still trapped inside that building, and no confirmed estimates of any death toll at this stage because the situation is ongoing. Let's come home now, and the Laerskool School Schweizer teacher at the centre of a race row has spoken out. Ilana Barkhuizen's talking about the photograph she took showing grade R pupils seated according to their race. Now, she's been suspended, but Solidarity, the union, is going to court on her behalf, and they say she deserves an apology. Malungelo Boy reports.
This is the teacher who took a photograph of black and white grade R pupils seated at different tables. But she is claiming this picture is of happy and smiling children on their first day at school. Something that's being used by opportunists against her, the pupils and her school.
Ek weet nie wat hierdie mense probeer het om my lewe te verwoes nie. Ek weet nie wat hulle wou regkry nie. Ek weet net dat ek magteloos moes staan en toe kyk hoe ek van 'n verhoog veroordeel moes word. Hoe ek beledig geword het.
Barkhuizen was suspended last week. That's while the teacher who was responsible for separating the pupils in this photo is still at school.
The teacher in question went the extra mile by bringing her private domestic worker to school to act as an interpreter for the little ones.
The union will be serving Northwest Education MEC Selo Lehari with court papers before the end of the week. It's saying he had no legal right to suspend Barkhuizen as she was appointed by the school's governing body. Solidarity is also arguing she has not been afforded a chance to give reasons why she should not be suspended.
Whatever the investigations into events in the classroom reveal, it was not her classroom, a huge injustice has been done to her and her family. She deserves an apology.
Solidarity is also working on filing a civil case against the MEC and others who labelled Buckhazen a racist. Malungelo Boy, Centurion.
Still ahead on eNews, British MPs are set to decide whether they'll accept UK-British Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal tonight.
Sally, the rand has remained steady today, and this is, of course, as you say, the markets are eyeing that crucial Brexit vote.
Let's talk business now with Rufiwa Madzela. Thanks very much for joining us. And you've got some bad news about Sibanye and the strike, which is spreading, I believe.
Very unfortunate, Sally, indeed. I mean, last week Sibanye came out with really good production numbers, really contributed by their PGMs, and the gold not so much. This week, after that little bit of euphoria, we saw AMCU's come out and saying they will be embarking on a secondary strike. So we do know that since mid-November, they've been striking at the gold operations of Sibanye over wage negotiations that really haven't gone well. And now they say they'll be embarking on that secondary strike at their platinum operations, which means that 12,500 workers from next week Tuesday will be downing tools. And of course, while Sibanye says that their PGM operations, platinum, palladium, are really being held afloat by what's happening in the US in terms of good prices as well as good production, this is going to have a significant impact. They have come out and tried to settle investors and say, look, we do have a contingency plan to deal with this, although they haven't really given the specifics as to how they plan on dealing with this particular strike.
Well, I wonder how that's impacted the markets today. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look at those markets today. And I mean, let's start off with that Sibanye story before we look at how the JSE traded. They were down 4.9% at the JSE close. Meanwhile, the JSE traded flat in line with global markets, while stocks were mixed as investors look forward to that Brexit vote, which is actually going to be underway at 10 p.m. Central South African time. If we take a look at your commodities, Brent crude is hovering at yesterday's level, and that's at around $60 a barrel. And this is good news for the South African consumer as long as it stays there. The AA coming out today saying that it predicts that another petrol price is on the cards next month. If we take a look at your currencies, the rand has remained steady against the US dollar in line with other global currencies today ahead of that Brexit vote. So we will be seeing a lot of the shake-up tomorrow morning when that final decision has been made.
Thank you very much, Rufiwa.
Thank you, Sally.
Well, as Rufiwa mentioned, British MPs are heading to the House of Commons this evening for that crucial Brexit vote. They must decide if they endorse Prime Minister Theresa May's plan on how to leave the European Union. Well, ahead of that vote, let's remind you of how it all unfolded.
The UK joined the European Union in 1973. A referendum was held in 2016, where a 52% majority voted to leave the EU. There have been endless negotiations between the UK and the EU on the terms of withdrawal. Under the current agreement, the UK will have to pay R690 billion to leave. All 27 EU countries have ratified the withdrawal agreement. Now, the UK Parliament votes on that deal tonight. There have been many complaints from all political parties on the agreement. The biggest disagreement is over the Irish border, which has always been a soft border since the UK and Ireland were both part of the EU. The exit date is 29th March of this year, but that deadline could be extended or cancelled unilaterally by the UK. If the MPs reject the deal tonight, no one is sure what will happen next.
And that deal vote is expected to happen at 10 o'clock tonight, and pundits do expect that deal to be rejected. So we'll update you on all of that tomorrow. as it happens. Up ahead, we'll go to Joel at our weather centre in Cape Town for your live weather report. Hey, Joel. And then, ever wanted to learn how to move like the king of pop? Well, we have a tutorial up next. To Cape Town now. Good evening, Joel Guy. How's our weather?
Good evening, Sally. We have a stormy weather going on across eastern South Africa, and it looks like it's going to stay pretty unsettled throughout the night, but the showers will become isolated as we get into Wednesday morning, especially over the northeastern areas. At the same time, we are going to be seeing rain and thunderstorms for parts of KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, and drizzly weather over parts of the South Coast. It will be pretty quiet for the central and western areas. Then in the afternoon, we should see the rain and thunderstorms spreading into much of the Eastern Cape, and it's going to become pretty stormy once again for the northeastern areas, including the eastern sections of the Free State and the northwest. Otherwise, another sunny and sizzling hot day is forecast for the central and western areas, with heat wave conditions expected for the eastern areas of the Northern Cape and the western parts of the northwest and Free State. Now, with that, let's take it closer to your part of the country. It's going to be sunny and sizzling hot for the eastern areas of the Northern Cape, with highs hitting the upper 40s around Appington, Priska, as well as in Kimberley. We are expecting mostly sunny and warm to hot weather once again for much of the Western Cape, Cape Town, warming to around 30 degrees, but there will be a bit of drizzle, especially in the morning for parts of the South Coast. We are expecting thunderstorms for much of the Eastern Cape interior, and it's going to be warm in most areas. Light rain for the coastal areas, where highs in the mid-20s are expected. KwaZulu-Natal should stay pretty unsettled this Wednesday, with warm afternoon temperatures and mild temperatures for the western sections. We are also going to see thunderstorms persisting for much of Mpumalanga, Mbombela, warming to around 30 degrees on Wednesday afternoon. Similar weather is forecast across much of the Limpopo province, and we should see Polokwane staying at the 29-degree mark on Wednesday afternoon. Another hot one is forecast across the northwest, where isolated thunderstorms are forecast for the eastern parts of the province. It will be mostly sunny and hot for the western areas. Vryburg warming to around 40 degrees. Isolated thunderstorms are also forecast across the Free State, Bloemfontein and Welkom, peaking at around 37 degrees. We are also going to see thundery showers across much of the Gauteng province, with highs in the upper 20s and lower 30s. And just quickly looking ahead to your Thursday, it's going to be stormy over eastern South Africa, mostly sunny for the western areas, with a bit of rain around Cape Town. That's all we had time for, Sally. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Joel. Finally, world-renowned Michael Jackson impersonator Dan Tanyo is performing in the mother city, and Tanya Neft got a tutorial from the Kimberley-born singer.
The legendary Michael Jackson may be gone, but his legacy and distinct showmanship live on. Kimberley-born Dan Tanyo has been spending years paying homage to the man himself. Now he's back on South African soil for a new run of his Michael Jackson history show.
I used to emulate my big brother because he used to dance to Michael Jackson's music. And I remember, waking up and watching him dance in the lounge. And only after I discovered who he was dancing to, or whose music he was dancing to, I realized, oh, so, that's Michael Jackson. And I started emulating Michael.
But of course, to channel the king of pop, you need to be able to master some key moves and have the right accessories. So let's get started.
Want to turn into the man in the mirror? Here are some tips. The famous hat, the glove, MJ's distinctive socks, the lock, and the piece de resistance, the moonwalk.
There you have it, Mr. Michael Jackson himself. Tanya Neft, Cape Town.
Nope, I'm not going to try it. Let's recap your top stories before we go. 40 to 100 people still trapped in a building under siege by al-Shabaab militants in Kenya. And here at home, the teacher who took a photo of black and white children seated separately says her school is not racist, and she took the photo quite innocently. Take care and good night.